Welcome to the Ghana Indian Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT. And my name is Ernestina Adote. So today on our webinar series, we have Introduction to Web Development. That's the power of JavaScript. But before I introduce my resource person, when it comes to Kofi Annan ICT, our core aim of the center is to promote individual and institutional capacity building, research and innovation, consultancy and advisory services in the area of ICT and e-governance solutions in Ghana and Africa. So if you want to do any course in IT, just pass by Kofi Annan ICT Center and we are good to serve you. So today on our webinar series, our resource person is a data analyst, a front-end and a back-end developer, a JavaScript and a Python expert for over 2 years and counting. And he's no other person than Mr. David Nuamah. Welcome to our webinar series for today, Mr. David.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the nice and beautiful introduction. Okay, so I'm David Nuamah. I'll be presenting on JavaScript, the power of JavaScript in web development. And I hope today we have a nice discussion on JavaScript. Thank you. So, let me start the presentation over again. Now, we are here to learn about JavaScript. And my whole goal for today is to just get people into JavaScript, to love JavaScript and to have more JavaScript enthusiasts. Because JavaScript, I know, helps creativity, it brings about creativity when you're working with it. So, and there are lots of opportunities that one can attain when they engage themselves into learning the programming language JavaScript. So to introduce JavaScript today, JavaScript is a revolutionized web development, has revolutionized web development, emerging as a cornerstone of modern web applications. As a versatile and dynamic language, JavaScript not only enhances functionalities of web pages, but also serves as a key driver behind interactive and engaging experience users have come to expect. This presentation explores the pivotal role of JavaScript in web development. It highlights its core features, its impact on user experience, and its evolution in a realm of modern technology. Okay, so currently every website we see around the world now has some part of JavaScript playing some important role in it. So if you see a website, you are able to click on the website, you are able to click on buttons, you are able to make transaction on, let's say, a banking application, you are able to press play on your videos when you go to YouTube, you are able to sign into a website, or you are able to sign up for services on the website. All these functionalities are being made possible by the power of JavaScript. And by so doing, we say we've made the page dynamic, we've made the page responsive to user events or user actions on a particular page. And how we experience our web pages, how we see certain animations on our web pages are also function or are also backed by JavaScript. And it's not only for web development. JavaScript also has been used for developing games. Sometimes we go to websites and then we see games on there. We have that gaming experience in there. All that can be, all that is made through the power of JavaScript. An example would be if you look at Google Chrome. Once you don't have internet, the dinosaur game that pops up on your screen that allows you to play the game for a certain period of time, where you are supposed to jump over obstacles as the animation plays, is also powered by JavaScript. Now, we are going to look at the evolution of JavaScript, where JavaScript came from, and who made what JavaScript. JavaScript was created by Brandon Ike in 1995 at Netscape, initially designed to add interactivity to web pages. Over the years, it has evolved significantly with the introduction of the ECMA standard, enhancing its capabilities. These updates have included the addition of modern syntaxes, powerful features, and improvements in web performance. Today, JavaScript is no longer just a client scripting language. It has become a versatile tool used both on the server side and for building mobile applications. So, JavaScript was made by Brandon Ike at Netscape. Netscape was an old browser that we used to use during the 1990s, where we had the Netscape Navigator. They mostly published static web pages. So Brennan Ike was tasked with the mandate to build a programming language that could help add dynamism to pages or to websites that were in those kinds of ages. So he first developed one which was Mocha, and then later on developed one called Live Mocha, which was then transitioned onto Live Script, and then later on changed to JavaScript. He changed it to JavaScript because during those days the most dominant programming language was Java. So he's like, okay, if I'm creating a scripting application or a scripting programming language, which is going to add dynamism to my page and has certain functionalities as JavaScript works, why don't I just combine the names together and then have what a new programming language known as what JavaScript? So Java and JavaScript are two different programming languages. The syntax for Java is different. The syntax for JavaScript is also different. Now, JavaScript has so after having JavaScript, they had problems with the old version of JavaScript that he built, in a sense that the JavaScript he created wasn't able to adapt or wasn't compatible with other browsers. It was only adaptable to the Netscape browser. So the ECMA, the standard for programming language, created a standardized form of JavaScript which works effectively on every browser and is being updated every year as new browsers come into the market, or as new browsers are also updated. JavaScript works closer with the browser in the sense that even if you are executing or writing a JavaScript code, in order for you to execute JavaScript or to execute the JavaScript program, you will have to run it inside a browser. And your browsers have consoles or they have engines that allows you to execute your JavaScript code. Okay. Now, JavaScript not only has now evolved from not only being a scripting tool for the web, it has now become a tool that can be used to make mobile applications. It has now been it has evolved to the point where it is being used for desktop applications and also with making mobile games. It also doesn't only work with front end services, which is not only made for front end services. It is now made for server side services, where you can have both your web pages and then also having the same JavaScript code or having a different form of JavaScript code interacting with your database. So it's now being used for both front end side, which is where we see our user interface, or where we interact with the application, and also the back end side, which deals with fetching data from a database in order for us to make changes to our pages. So it has now become streamlined. You can learn JavaScript for front end and then use that same knowledge or build on that same knowledge to write a scripting or to write an application for your server side. Now, why should we study JavaScript? As front-end developers, or if you want to aspire as a front-end developer, one of the best programming language you need to fall in love with, or you need to fall in love with or to, is JavaScript. JavaScript, because of its dynamic nature. It adds dynamism to our pages. If you create a web page using HTML and CSS, your pages become static. The one programming language which is compatible enough to help you create a dynamic web page is JavaScript. Now we have your let's say you pick an application, or maybe you open your Instagram application inside your browser. You have all the functionalities that you have on your phone also on your browser, and all this is made perfect, or all this is made available due to JavaScript. When you flip, or when you see your feeds, when you watch a video, when you swipe on your screen to see the next video, all these functionalities are being powered by JavaScript. Now, it is also used for full stack development. Since the advent of Node.js, basically, let me just give you a quick rundown of how Node.js came into place. So Node.js was like, okay, the idea behind Node.js was every programming language out there had their own engines. Basically, they had their own programs that help them execute other programming languages code. But JavaScript, in a sense, didn't have one. The one it had was inside a browser, which you have to execute your code together with an HTML file in a browser in order for you to see an output of a JavaScript code. But then the Node came into play when the creator was like, okay, why is it that every programming language in the world had their own engine in on their computer to execute the code? So in that sense, he said, okay, let's pick the JavaScript engine and then put it in an application so that we can execute the JavaScript code not from a browser but through our computer's RAM, or through our computer's processor. So Node.js was then created, or Node.js was then born. And Node.js has now been upgraded, or has evolved from just executing JavaScript code to now creating server-side programs, or server-side scripts that helps us interact with our databases and other outside, or other servers that we would like to connect to. Efficient development. Now, if you are a JavaScript, or you are a JavaScript enthusiast, or you're a JavaScript programmer, like your whole development lifecycle where you are developing an application runs through. You've learned JavaScript. That same JavaScript is used to build a web page. That same JavaScript is going to also be used to create the server side. So in a sense, there is no break. The communication between the two servers, or the two sides, the front end and the back end, are well streamlined because there's one language that is communicating across the two bridges, or across the two sides. We also have to say, the reason why I also want people to study, or I would like people to go into JavaScript, is because of its cross-platform development. In a sense that when you create, or when you use other forms of JavaScript with other frameworks of JavaScript, like React Native, you are able to create mobile applications that run through both Android and iOS applications, where the application you create do not need to be converted for an Android phone, or do not need to re-engineer for an Android phone. But since you are using the JavaScript language, it can be written for both an Android system, or an Android OS, and then an iOS system. And then it helps us create hybrid applications, in a sense that we can create an application that works for both mobile view and also works both for desktop view too, or the web view too. It's high demand and job opportunities. It has high demand and job opportunities because of its nature. It's being used everywhere, and a lot of companies are employing React developers. And React is also a framework, React is a library inside JavaScript. So all these things, these are some of the advantages that you draw when you learn JavaScript. The JavaScript you learn here in Ghana is the same JavaScript you can take to different countries to go and work with. Okay, so it is very, very, very high. It's a very high demanding programming language, and has a lot of job opportunities. You can just focus on just using JavaScript for the client side and become perfect in it. And you can also just study JavaScript just for the server side. And you can also have a career in there too. You can go into game development even with the knowledge of JavaScript that you have. There are a lot of things you can do with JavaScript. Now, core features and capabilities of JavaScript. What makes or what are the parts that drive JavaScript, or what components drive JavaScript? One of the main components is the document object model, the DOM. So the JavaScript allows developers to interact with the DOM, a hierarchical structure of a web page. So here we are saying that okay, JavaScript allows us to add dynamism to our page, and it's like, how does it do that? So there's a particular part in JavaScript which is known as the DOM, the document object model, which allows you to target each element on your web page or each object on your web page or item on your web page, and then add functionalities or add interactivity to it. So, example, when you click on a button to submit, let's say, a form that you filled on the web page, the DOM is what helps you with receive the information from the input field, and also as a same functionality that helps you send the information that you've entered into the form onto your database due to you adding, let's say, an on-click event through the DOM. Okay, so the DOM is what helps us add those interactivities to our pages. HTML and CSS are different files, different then comes in to pick the HTML and then add functionalities to them, so that anytime user interacts with them, there's some form of action or there's some form of events that will occur whilst working with it. Now, it also allows asynchronous programming. There's a bit technical where we have to look at, okay, we know that computer programming, or if we don't even know, we know that if we don't even know, computers execute or they read lines of instructions from top to bottom. Okay, they read lines of instructions from top to bottom. So if there's an essay, they will read the essay from the heading up to the conclusion until they get to the conclusion of the page. Then they stop. But here's a case where if you are writing a set of instructions, which JavaScript is used for, JavaScript allows us to write set of instructions for our browser or for our computer. So if there's a set of instructions that runs from, or that is written from top to bottom, JavaScript or the processor will read it from top to bottom. But if you write it using an asynchronous programming, if it reads the code and there's some part of your program that says it needs to fetch data from the database before it can functionally, or it can operate well, JavaScript with asynchronous programming, JavaScript can allow you to do other functionalities on the web page whilst it is waiting for you to receive data from your database, and that's asynchronous programming. Asynchronous programming says, I'm not going to read the program from top to bottom, but I'm going to read the programming or the program as and when I want to. So if there's a program or there's a line of code that needs to run before another one runs, that's synchronous programming. But for asynchronous programming, it doesn't work that way. It says if one line of code is going to stall my execution process, then I'll have to move on to the next execution process and finish that one until the previous one, who is going to stall my execution process, is completed. So in that sense, it works, or it programs, or it executes codes concurrently, side by side or simultaneously. So some of the syntax we have there are callbacks. We have promises. Promises are basically if I'm fetching data from my database, the data I'm getting from my database can be known as my promises. And async, await. The async is what we use. The async functionality is what we use to implement our asynchronous programming in JavaScript. Now we have event handling. JavaScript event-driven model enables developers to create interactive web pages. So in combination with the DOM, event handling help us create dynamic web pages. They help us create pages, or they help us create click events. When particular objects are clicked, what should happen? The event handlers would also help us. If there's an event where it says we should listen to a particular action from the user before it triggers, the event handlers also would handle that. JavaScript also allows us to write object-oriented programming models, or allows us to write object-oriented programming. With a new version of JavaScript, which is the ECMA 6, ECMA 7, they also encourage, or they are now enforced with functions and tools to help us write object-oriented programming. So a little bit about object-oriented programming. We have functional way of writing programs, and then we have non-functional way of writing programs. We have the object-oriented way of writing programs, where every function or every file we need, or every program, are divided into classes, which are different files, and then we bring them together in order to help us write or use them to create our programs. Okay. Now, modern JavaScript frameworks and libraries. The evolution of JavaScript has led to the development of numerous frameworks and libraries, and streamlined and enhanced web development. So, what then is a framework? We've been hearing what frameworks are and what they do. A framework is more like a blueprint. You can think of it as more like a blueprint for creating a house. Okay, it tells you where to place the walls, windows, and doors. It also provides a structure for the entire house. So if you think of frameworks like a pre-built blueprint of how applications should be built. So you want to build an e-commerce website, you want to build any application at all, a banking app, you want to build a school management system. Frameworks are like blueprints of how you're supposed to structure such application. You need to, let's say we go to an e-commerce website, you have to create a particular system. Let's say to add to cart system, you need to create the sign in, the authentication, the sign in and log in, or sign up and then sign up functionalities. All these things are pre-built, and then it shows you how you're supposed to connect them together in order for you to create a perfect application in there. A library is also a pre-built kitchen cabinet. You can think of it as a pre-built kitchen cabinet. You can buy it and install it. You can buy it and install it in your house, but still you have to decide where to put it and how to arrange the other parts of your kitchen. So with libraries, they don't give you a blueprint of how the whole system should work, but they give you a blueprint of how to use the tools to help you create a particular application. So they provide you with tools that helps you create all the applications you want to create. In a sense that if it's going to take you 10 lines of code just to create a particular functionality, libraries are there just to help you to, instead of just 10 lines, you can just use one line to create let's say, your kitchen cabinet, or to create a particular functionality in your application. An example of such frameworks or libraries are the React library. Developed by Facebook, React is a library for building user interfaces. It introduces the concept of virtual DOM, which optimizes rendering performance by minimizing direct updates to the real DOM. So we have React. React is also a library of JavaScript. So it's like you have one big tool called JavaScript. It has its own other or advanced tools that will help you create an application, not from scratch, but pre-built with components or pre-built functions that you can put together to help you create a particular program. So React was developed by Facebook, and they wanted a way to create or to simplify the process by which we used to create websites. So if you want to create a user interface, you don't have to be writing a lot of HTML and CSS code just for a particular interface to work, or a particular functionality or your interface to work. All you can do with React, or what React allows you to do, is if I've created a header, I can make the header a component and then use it in different parts of my application. That one particular code can be populated in my application in order to create different headers on my page. If there's a component or if there is a part of your website that keeps repeating, React allows you to create just one component and then just repeat the model or just repeat the component of that particular functionality. We have Angular. Angular was also developed by if you don't want to learn the React, or if you don't want to learn the React library, you can also go for Angular. The Angular developer, which was developed by Google, a comprehensive framework for building dynamic web applications. So just as React gives you an easier way for creating websites or for creating functionality in your pages, Angular also helps you gives you an easier or pre-built set of instructions to help you create your web applications. Okay. Now we also have Angular. Oh, sorry, not Angular. We have Vue. We have Vue, which also allows us to, is also a framework that helps you create your website. There's also another framework, just like Angular, has also pre-built functionalities and components to allow you to create different web pages and different dynamic web pages. Okay, so JavaScript. And this brings to the end of my presentation. But JavaScript doesn't end there. I just want people to just go into JavaScript because it has a lot to offer everyone. It has a lot of functionalities. It has a lot of parts. It has a lot of frameworks that makes it easier for users to communicate or to create dynamic web pages. So I want a lot of people, and the frameworks are made for every type of programmer. So if you don't like the way React allows you to create your UIs, you can go for Angular. If you don't like the way Angular also allows you to create your UI, how Angular restructures its folder to allow you to create websites, you can also go to Vue. So you have a lot of options to choose from, and the community around JavaScript is enormous. The whole of US, you have the whole of US, and you have different countries also using the same particular JavaScript. So there's a lot of resources out there for you to learn JavaScript, and you can learn them on your own. And that's the amazing thing about JavaScript. Okay, thank you very much. And do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? So, and if you don't like to, or if you don't want to learn by yourself, you can always step into our offices in Kofi Annan, and then you can register for one of our courses, our CSD courses, and then you come here to come and learn your JavaScript.
Hello. So please, if you have questions to ask, you can type them in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and we'll mute you so that you ask. I've seen a few people raise their hand. Frimpong. Yes, Frimpong, please go ahead. Hey, Joseph Ado is asking, please, what are the requirements? So David will attempt to answer that, and then we'll move
on. You're asking what are the requirements in a sense of you trying to go into JavaScript, or you starting from the basis, or you taking up a framework to learn. Can you give me a clearer version? Do you want to start with JavaScript, or you want to start with a framework, or you want to jump into a framework?
So Joseph is saying that what are the requirements for? I think what he wants to say is that what are the requirements for learning JavaScript as a fresher? Okay, so go ahead. The second question is also, how can I get the software to install? But please, Dave, take the first question first.
Okay. So JavaScript is one of the most basic programming languages out there. So you don't need any form of any formal knowledge of any Java of any programming language before you can start JavaScript. With your knowledge you have, all you can do is pick up a tutorial or join us in Kofi Annan, and then we will then help you with the programming aspect or starting up with JavaScript. So you don't need any form of requirement. You don't need to be. I think what you need is basically you should be able to read, use a computer, and then that's it. Move on with JavaScript.
So Elvis, Amma
Amma
is
is
asking,
asking, how can I get the software to install?
Okay, so if I can share my screen, or if I can share my video, in order for us to use JavaScript, or in order for you to even start writing JavaScript, most of the things that you need is just a browser. There is no need for you to install any application. The only time you need to store an application is when the only time you need to. Okay, so the only time you need to install an application for JavaScript is when you are going to load. Okay, so that's the only time you need Java to install an application, which is the Node.js application. But to create or to start writing your a JavaScript program is as easy as pulling up a browser. So you can see my browser here. All you need to go is open, let's say, a page. We can go to, even on this particular page that we have, this particular page on my browser, I can go to inspect. So you can do that by right-clicking on an empty space on your screen, and then going towards inspect, or choosing inspect from the pop-up menu. From the pop-up menu, all you need to go is to console, and when you get to console, you have a development environment for you to write your JavaScript code. Some of the syntaxes that we have in JavaScript to create a variable and stuff, you can use here to create a variable, where you can create a number, let number as equal to, let's say, 5 or 7. You press enter, let number, or the second is equal to, let's say, 10. Now I want to see the total of these two variables. So I can do a console dot log into bracket number plus number plus second number. And just by doing this, 17, I've just written my first JavaScript code. Or you can just write your first JavaScript code with just your browser. Okay, so JavaScript is as easy as pulling up your browser, going to inspect, right click on an empty space, going to inspect, and then typing your console. I hope your question has been answered.
okay. So Steven is also asking, as a beginner, between Python and Java, which one is best for me to start with?
Okay, so Steven, I'll ask, okay, before I even answer that question, I'll ask, what do you want to do? At the end of the day, if you want to become a developer for websites, or you want to build websites, then I'll say perfectly your beginner programming language should be JavaScript. And since I write in JavaScript, I'll even say if you want to do anything else, start with JavaScript. But for a complete beginner, Python is much more user friendly. It has simpler syntaxes, and the learning curve for Python is also much more easier. But if you want to go into web development and you want to go into front-end development, start a back-end development too, I'll urge you to go for JavaScript.
Okay. So please, if you have more questions, just type. We want to take 3 more and then we'll wrap up for the day. But don't forget that, what he just taught us is introduction. If you want to get into the meat, you come to GI-KACE, Kofi Annan ICT Center, and then, register for our TSD class and get to, experience into details so that, you know how to use JavaScript for most of the things. I remember he mentioned Angular, he mentioned React, and some other platforms that we can use. So please, if you have more questions, just type them in the chat message and then the chat box, and then we'll read it out, and then we'll go ahead.
Say something else. The person is raising hand.
So there's a question, please. Okay, so I think what this person is trying to say is that, please, is there an online course to study JavaScript? So is there an online course to study JavaScript? Stephen, what I'll say is that, in fact, this whole session we have done here is recorded. It will be uploaded onto our YouTube page. But no, we are yet to start an online class to handle courses like Java. But come to Kofi Annan, we have 3 centers. We have one in Accra, we have one in Sunyani, we have one in Boga. Come visit any of the our centers, and then sign up for the CSD class, and yes, you'll be taken through. If you're in Accra, come straight to Accra. We are located at Ridge, next to the Council of State or Parliament, and then we share a wall with the Ministry of Communication. Just come here, pick up a form and sign up for the class. So please, any other question? We have 2 more. We want to take 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap up. Steve, so this is Joseph. Joseph is saying from Kaswa, can I get accurate direction? Joseph, we'll leave our contact details, or you can send us a message on any of our social media platforms. On Facebook, it is at Kofi Annan ICT. On Instagram is the same. On LinkedIn is the same. Just send us a message or call us. In fact, the number is 055-666-0355. And then we'll give you accurate directions. If you're also good with Google Map, just type in GI-KACE, KACE. It will bring you straight here. GI-KACE. It will bring you straight to our office at Kofi Annan ICT Center. So GI-KACE, KACE. That's GI-KACE. All right. Please, any other question? We are taking our last question and then we wrap up.
So this question from Elvis Ama. Please, you talk about React library development and the library system framework. Can you create your own library system with JavaScript? I am guessing you are saying JavaScript because today's topic is on JavaScript. Java is a different programming language on its own. JavaScript is also a different programming language on its own. At the workplace for sample develop. For sample at the workplace for sample develop. Yes. If you get into the advanced part of JavaScript, you can easily write libraries that can do amazing things for web development. So the fundamentals or the basic parts you have to learn is the JavaScript fundamental, and that's one thing you have to learn is very well in order to create libraries for JavaScript. So you first need to master how the JavaScript fundamentals work before you move on to creating libraries or frameworks for JavaScript.
Okay, so thank you. If you have more questions, you can send to any of our social media platforms. On Facebook, it is Kofi Annan ICT. It's a one word, Kofi Annan ICT. On Instagram, it is Kofi Annan ICT. On Twitter, it is Kofi Annan ICT. On LinkedIn, it is Kofi Annan ICT. On TikTok, it's Kofi Annan ICT. In fact, we are available on all the social media platforms. If you have any other question about today's session, you can send to us, or you can call us on 055-666-0355, and then we will give you all the responses you need. Let me also add that this session has been recorded and will be uploaded onto our social media platform, so that if your friend missed, you can tell a friend to tell that friend who missed to go on our social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then go and watch it all over again, so that you can learn this. This webinar series is part of GI-KACE's corporate social responsibility that we do to give back to society, and then as we are giving back to society, we try to build capacity in ICT with this. It is also a way of telling the publics that we also build capacity here. So we have several courses that we run here, including the Network Information Security, NIS, Professional Certificate in Big Data Analytics, Certificate in Software Development,
professional certificates in cyber attacks and preventive techniques, among others. So if you want to take this course further, you can quickly call the numbers that I've mentioned. In fact, I'm even going to type that and put it in the chat box, and you can do that. We also offer ICT courses for professionals in data science, diploma in business computing, certificate information system auditor, and data analytics using Power BI or Python.
Hello. To add on to what my colleague said earlier, we have a whole lot of courses. Just pass by our office at Ridge anytime. We are open from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So you register for any of the courses that you want. And trust me, you will get all the knowledge that you need. We have our center also in Sunyani and Bogatanga as well. So if you are close by, you can contact Sunyani on 0201 505489 and Bogatanga on 0201 505 407. Don't forget to also follow us on all our social media handles. Then you can send us messages at any time. We'll reply to you. Call us to reply to you. And thank you so much for joining our today's tech webinar series. Don't forget, there's a monthly series we've been organizing. So we all look forward to you to join the next one, which will be in September. So please do well to join our webinar series to get an overview of what we do here at the Kofi Annan ICT Center. Thank you so much for your time.